Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Good Boxing Podcast with your host, Josh Size. And I'm here today with a good episode for you, as always. I wanted to touch on a couple of the fights coming up and just give you predictions for more or less what I feel is going to happen this weekend. This weekend, we have the return of Loma, the Matrix, versus Masayoshi Nakatani. Now, first things first, Lomachenko's coming off his first loss in a very, very long time. His failed attempt to beat right now the young champion out of America from Brooklyn, the Takeover, Teofimo Lopez. It seems so far and so long ago that the young American, current undisputed champion, went to Las Vegas, defied all the odds, and beat the Matrix. I'm not going to sit here and talk about all the stuff that unfolded after. You already know the shoulder injury, all these things, no rematch clause, the slow motion videos, you name it, you've heard it from the Lomachenko camp. However, I did tell you that I did like his approach after saying, like, hey, I want to fight whoever I have to fight to get back and get another chance at getting all his belts back. I have unfinished business at 135. Now, the question is Masayoshi Nakatani the one to do it? Is he the one to kind of get Lomachenko back into that matrix state, back where he has all the flashy turns, uppercuts, the astounding, in my opinion, highlight reels of knockouts? Is he going to get back to that, Lomachenko? So that's basically what we're doing this weekend, right? Masayoshi Nakatani, fought Teofimo Lopez, made Lopez look bad at certain points, but at the end of the day, Lopez beat him, and even he is trying to get back into prominence. So why not have two guys looking to get revenge against Teofimo Lopez fight each other? It's a good comparison fight in the sense that Lomachenko, if he beats Masayoshi Nakatani better than Teofimo, then you could start making the case for the rematch. It seems like it's all he wants. You look at the ESPN documentary that just came out. Lomachenko clearly wants a rematch, and I don't blame him. You want a chance. You've spent years trying to collect belts, trying to become undisputed champion. That was your goal, and you fell short, right? But no shame in having 3 belts. No shame in losing to a very, very solid, young, strong, hungry, well-schooled boxer in Teofimo. However, things have just been, in my opinion, very, very wonky with 135. You saw Devin Haney struggle against Jorge Linares, where he got hurt for a little while. Outboxed him masterfully, 100%. But you saw flaws, right? You heard, hey, maybe Lomachenko will fight Devin Haney, but then a bombshell happened. Teofimo Lopez announces that he signs back with Top Rank in an extension where everything got renegotiated. You saw Teofimo basically complained that his minimums weren't good, and hence why he wanted to go to purse bid, and then the whole Triller thing happened. Then Teofimo, as much as I love him, tested positive for COVID-19, and his fight with George Gambosos threw the 135-pound division up in the air and caused even more controversy and a little more, basically, muck. Things were looking clear. You had Gambosos. Maybe he fights this. Maybe he fights after. If he beats Gambosos, he fights Josh Taylor. Maybe Devin Haney for the real undisputed, even though Jose Suleiman has said he's undisputed. Even Lomachenko believes, hey, I won the belt. Devin Haney has a political belt. Ben Davison thinks otherwise. Devin Haney thinks otherwise. And honestly, I don't blame them for thinking that when you are promoting the guy or you're with the guy that you think is the real WBC champion 135, I understand where you're coming from. And I'll sit here and say, if you're a Devin Haney supporter, I understand where you're coming from. But at this current moment, when Teofimo tested positive and re-signed, the minute he tested positive for COVID, first things first, you get worried, right? You're like, oh, is the kid going to be okay? Because we've heard the stories about long-term COVID. You've heard the stories about a bunch of people around the world dying from this horrible, horrible disease, right? This virus has caused a lot of strife. It has changed the way we live. It has changed so much in our lives. And when you heard he tested positive, it kind of threw me for a loop, and I'm sure it did to a bunch of other people. Besides the fact that we were 3 or 4 days out, really, really excited to see how Teofimo was going to look. He hired Jorge Rubio, Gombosos. As much as I really feel like Teo's going to destroy him, you got to give the kid credit for all the shit talk he was spewing, all of the hype he's spewing, all the training camp footage. It looks like he's working hard. He's legitimately trying to put on a show for everyone. And Sweatbox, shout out to you guys. You're doing a fantastic job. I still think Teo's going to win, but you know preparation is going to be done. And Gombosos was trying to win, which I commend. And that's the approach you have to take when you're taking on someone that is undisputed champion. You know he's coming. Gombosos, and that would have been a fun fight. But then there are more rumors now. The fight got pushed back 4 weeks. Oh, hey, we're going to fight in August. Now they're talking about, hey, we're going to move back the fight again to September 11th. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but Canelo Alvarez is supposed to have that date. And sure, De La Hoya is going to fight Vitor Belfort in a big fight. You add Teofimo and Gombosos, maybe it is a good fight. But truthfully, with Nakatani and Lomachenko fighting this weekend, I don't think the September 11th fight with Teofimo is going to outsell Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant, or truthfully, whoever Canelo Alvarez fights. So I'm going to be honest with you. I think Lomachenko versus Nakatani is the next opponent for Lopez. So in this fight, I think Nakatani showed he has guts. You see Nakatani has some pretty good boxing skills. He's tall, he's long, has a good jab. He isn't afraid to come forward. However, I do think he's a little too straight up, where when I mean straight up, he's not very angular, comes very basic with a double jab and a right hand, has a pretty good hook, but he's tall and lengthy. He just makes he's going to make it very easy for Lomachenko to do what Lomachenko does. Lomachenko likes to move to that right side. Is Nakatani going to be able to turn to his left, neutralize Lomachenko's angle, and pivot with Lomachenko and not basically fight inside? Because one thing you have to say about Loma is, hate him or love him, the guy has skills. He can punch with both hands and when his shoulder's working. And look, as much as, again, I'm not trying to be a Lomachenko hater, I just don't want to hear any excuses in this fight. I'm so tired of hearing about your shoulder. If you're fighting, fight. You struggled against a good champion or a good former title contender. I do think he has a great right hook. I do think he has a great right jab. He has one of the best left hands in the game. And I love when he gets to that right side and actually takes it. I want to see the work Lomachenko put in after the Lopez fight. Remember, he's trying to fight to get his belts back. But I'm going to make this very, very simple for everyone. Top Rank just signed a deal with Teo. I don't think the Triller fight's going to happen. They're going to keep pushing it. And then I think Lopez is just going to drop out. I think he's going to get rid of the purse bid. Whatever it is, he hasn't been paid yet. It's not like Triller can sit here and say, oh, hey, you're breaching contract. Essentially, COVID throws a wrench in everything. If a fighter pulls out or something happens, you're going to be able to put on a show with Lomachenko. I know the IBF mandatory is Gombosos, but I'm telling you the IBF will not make Teofimo vacate his title if he fights Lomachenko again. And I think this weekend they're trying to set up the fight with Lomachenko. Loma's probably going to win. I think Masayoshi is tough. And yes, he had that fight with, I always forget Verdejo's name for some odd reason, but Felix Verdejo. I mentioned that Verdejo was the guy that they wanted to put in with Lomachenko to kind of get him going, but Masayoshi Nakatani ruined that whole plan by knocking Verdejo out. And say what you want to say, but Lomachenko is going to come out there, do his thing. He's going to look fantastic. They're going to repackage Loma, and he's going to get the rematch with Teofimo Lopez. I'm calling it now. Even if he does fight Gambosos, Lopez, Lomachenko is the next fight. Bob Arum, I watched a recent interview with Bob Arum, and I believe it was Behind the Gloves or it was one of the YouTube channels. But Bob Arum saying, yes, all these people want all these fights, but people have to realize there are contracts, there are promoters, there are networks, there are a bunch of different things that go into these fights. And yes, the fans aren't getting the fights they want. They have to understand that contracts are in place for a reason. These deals are in place for a reason. While I don't agree with it, the fans should always come first. And in a world where you have an organization like the UFC that makes the best fights all the time, even though they don't pay the fighters the way that boxers get paid, you have to call a spade a spade. People like the UFC because fighters fight each other, and we want to see these guys get in the ring with each other. But I'm telling you now, Lomachenko is going to come out there. He's going to look fantastic. He's going to beat Masayoshi Nakatani. Personally, would I be mad if Nakatani just goes out there and shocks the world and even spins the 135 division on its head again? No, I wouldn't personally care. But instead of speaking with the heart and how I feel, I'm going to tell you what I see. And based on what I know, I think Lomachenko is just too good for Masayoshi Nakatani, and he's the perfect fighter to make the perfect comeback, to make the perfect pitch to fight Lopez again. You got to deal with Teo back. No doubt in my mind, the Gambosos fight, that shit's off, man. I know they're saying they're going to reschedule it, but ESPN, Bob Arum, isn't going to let their marquee name, one of their marquee undisputed champions, one of their biggest cash cows in terms of notoriety. And what I mean by that is, yes, Teofimo may not be the biggest ticket seller in the world, but you guys have to realize Top Rank has a network to answer to. Top Rank is the official boxing distribution promotional company of ESPN. And ESPN, those deep Disney pockets, aren't really trying to hear that their undisputed champion had a spat with you and they're fighting on Triller, who's trying to disrupt their very big investment in boxing. So I'm going to be honest with you. Don't be surprised if September, the fight doesn't come around and we're going to get that Lomachenko-Teofimo Lopez rematch. Honestly, I want to see it again. I thought Loma lost. Clearly, I don't know where he's getting this draw stuff, but you know what? You want to run it back, let the kid get his rematch. He didn't have the clause in there. He wants to get paid right for the rematch. Let him get paid right. And who knows? Triller, I'm not speaking poorly on Triller, but Mike Tyson recently just sued Triller. Jake Paul had issues with Triller. He got poached away. Clearly, this is war on Triller, as I said before. They try to disrupt something, and when you try to disrupt, the old guard is going to stop you from doing so. So those are my thoughts. Lomachenko versus Nakatani. I think Nakatani is just too straight up. He doesn't provide enough challenges for Loma. And against Loma, you have to set traps. You have to be able to turn. You have to be able to basically fluster him. And yes, the height will be an advantage. He is taller. But Nakatani doesn't fight like a tall guy. If he does, he can make it a little harder for him. But that warrior spirit that come forward, it's going to come out. And when you're fighting Loma and you're missing and he's going in there and Loma is going to come forward this fight. You see he's going to try to throw punches and show that his shoulder is okay. And he's going to try to say like, oh, look, see, if I'm offensive, I beat Masayoshi Nakatani better than Teo. You know the game plan. You know what they're trying to do. And look, I'm for it. If it's going to give us the fight again, let's see it. Because Gambosos, truthfully, he's not going to bring the best out of Teofimo. Gambosos talks a good game, and like, no offense to him, he's just not going to beat Teo. He doesn't have the right style. He talks like he's some killer. You watch his fights, and he's not that. So the Spartan, the Greek warrior, like, fine. All right, you're putting in the work. I see your workouts. You're throwing all these punches. Okay. We're going to see, but I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think we're going to see it. So that's the episode for today. You know what to do. Hit that like button. Subscribe. We're back. I'm changing up some stuff on the channel. I'm going to make the long form content 1 hour. And then I'm also going to make little segments here and there where I chop it up. And just stay tuned because I got a lot of cool shit coming. And thank you so much for the support. Instagram at Good Boxing Podcast. See you shortly.